What's going on, guys? So my last video I was around early 70s, my first Shadow Clone Rogue build video. Now I'm around 82, so I wanted to provide an update, and I'm going to go over my stats, advanced stats, gear, skills, Paragon Board, and I'll do a quick dungeon at the end just so you guys can see it in action. So yeah, so starting off with the stats, so I've been reworking the Paragon Board to really focus on dexterity based on the comments and based on my experience over the last like 10 levels, and now I do a lot more damage. My main one I use here is Twisting Blades, so it's rank 9 out of 5, and it does like 20,000 to 24,000 damage, plus all the little perks with the aspects. Strength, intelligence, willpower, but dexterity is by far the highest for the skill damage. And also I've been trying to rework it so I could kind of focus a little bit more on dodge too, so I could retain my dark shrouds as long as possible. So those are the regular stats. The advanced stats, I have 36.7% critical strike chance and 140% vulnerable damage, 222% to crowd control, damage versus healthy, damage versus close, and damage with core I've been trying to focus on with my Paragon board as well to try to get that up as much as possible. Defensively, I want to get some more life. I had like 10,000 at a point, but it sacrificed some attack power. But 9,000 life, pretty good for like I'm consistently running quick dungeons, maybe 5 to 7 minutes, like level 40s. I can do 60s, but they take a little longer. Actually, they take probably like double the time, to be honest, based on how I'm going. Dodge chance, base of 14.7 with some of the aspects I'll show you. I could go up to like 30, 35, even up to high as 40 with consumables like the dodge elixir, which gives you 8%, and then a bunch of damage reduction from close and resistances. 11.7% for lucky hit chance too, which is beneficial for one of my aspects in my boots. And cooldown reduction is important as well as the imbuement cooldown reduction, as well as maximum energy. I got 18. I think it's on one of my rings. Yep, this one. And yeah, that's about it for the stats. So going into the gear now. Now I will probably be changing this over the next few levels as I find more items. That's just how it's been working. Before the ranks of Shadow Imbuement, it's really good for my explosion type build. It's like a chain reaction, maximum life, all stats, and the maximum cooldown reduction is really key for this build too, because I could use Shadow Clone more often. Then I'm thinking about changing this aspect. It happens once every 90 seconds, but it does save my life on occasion, so we'll see. This one, I changed the aspect on the chest. So basic skills, I'm always using basic skills. So basically I always have a 20% damage reduction, which is awesome. Maximum life, ultimate, marksman. I would have preferred core, but that's all I got on this armor. I got the marksman skill damage, damage reduction from close again. Gloves, I was using unique gloves, but it wasn't giving me the 4 ranks of Twisting Blades. It was only 3 to core skills. So I have these gloves now. They give me maximum 12% crit strike chance, which is awesome. Attack speed, lucky hit chance, and then I really like this where when you're healthy, you gain 38% more increased crowd control duration, and that's basically my dazes, my stuns. This is really a crowd control type build with dash. Then I got these pants here. Dodge chance again, dexterity, imbuement skill cooldown reduction, so I could use the Shadow Imbuement level 9 more often. And damage reduction from close again, as well as this 45% bonus for armor, which whenever you hit an enemy and or whatever you deal damage, and I deal a lot of damage quickly, so. These boots, they're really good. I think I could find an upgrade eventually, but the 3 to max evade charges is key for this build, as well as the 4 ranks of dash. So this gives me a rank 9 out of 5 for dash. Not necessarily for the damage, that's helpful, but I like it for it lowers the charge cooldown. That's why I wanted to rank it up so much. And then this crossbow here for the ridiculous dexterity, 186, vulnerable damage on both here on the main attribute, as well as right under the dexterity. Core skill damage, almost the maximum on there, which is awesome. And decent close damage to close enemies. And I've been fooling around with the imprint or the aspect on this one. I like this. This basic skills gain 54% because I could pretty much generate combo points basically instantly. Which with my daggers, which I'll show in a bit. Amulet, 10.9% dexterity. So if I take this off, it gives me like 800 attack power just from that. In addition to the extra dodge that it gives. Energy cost reduction, I would have preferred if it was higher, but it's a low roll. I'll probably keep enchanting that to see what else I can get. Damage reduction and plus damage. So low really on the rolls, but it's pretty solid. And then I'm using this close quarters. Kind of, I don't think many people tend to use this, but I like it because I get hit like 2 or 3 times and then I'm dodging the next one because it increases it 8% whenever you're hit by a close enemy. And my base with all my I'll show you the skills in a second, which give me some dodge chance. But even just with the consumable, it's 22%, and then I'm hit, let's say, 2 or 3 times, and then it's already 50% chance to dodge, and then it resets the this aspect. This ring I really like. Critical strike, physical damage. The cold damage really is useless, so I'm hoping for a new ring with better stats, but I haven't found one that gives me maximum 1035 life yet, so still looking for something like that or an upgrade. But I have the aspect finally that when you evade or shadow step, you leave behind a cluster of exploding grenades, and being that I have 4 evades and the cooldowns reduced a lot, I could pretty much use this without the charges running out, which is awesome. So it's just like constant stun on the enemies. Then this ring here, solid damage to injured enemies, critical strike chance mid-range, and damage to close enemies. And then I decided to put Twisting Blades Orbit. I've been mixing and matching with this, where they orbit around you for this is, I think, the Dancer's aspect, where they orbit around you for a short time before they return to you, so extra damage on Twisting Blades. And then the daggers here. So Condemnation, solid damage to close enemies, basic maximum on the attack speed for basic skills. Critical strike chance against enemies, almost injured enemies. This almost gives me like a guaranteed critical strike because I have 19% increased critical strike chance against injured enemies here. And then this one gives me another 17%. So a really significant damage to injured enemies. Damage with dual wield weapons, core damage, and then your core skills deal 30% more damage when you're spending 3 combo points, and your basic skills, and I attack so quickly, like this 30% chance to generate 3 combo points happens like every, within a couple hits, or like literally like a second, I would say, of using it. So instead of using preparation now, and I'll go to my other dagger in a second, I've actually been using combo points for the movement speed and damage. Now I can get 28,000 damage max on 3 points for Twisting Blades. And this works well with this dagger as well. I got close damage, all stats, critical strike damage, core skill damage, solid dexterity on that. And then critical strikes with core skills increase your attack speed by 22%. So I'm all about attack speed, dealing damage to crowd control enemies, and vulnerable enemies as well. So that's all the gear. I did the stats. Onto the Paragon. So I've been reworking this and reworking some of my glyphs as I kind of figure out my build as I go. But basically I've been trying to do more. Before I did like intellect or intelligence type glyphs because it was dealing damage to crowd control and it was worth it for that time. Now I'm trying to move towards things like that reward more dexterity, like physical damage increases damage an enemy takes from you by 1% up to 10%. And this works well on elites as well, so you don't have to, or even bosses, which you can't really stun that quickly. Some maximum life, damage, more damage, dexterity. Then all the way over here, the legendary perks I have, or aspects, cheap shot, cutthroat skill damage, which is key for this build, for the Twisting Blades. It's cutthroat. And every 5 points of dexterity. I deal 5% increased damage with cutthroat skills. And I get a nice little bonus of 10% reduced damage when I'm wielding a melee weapon, which I always am. And I also have damage to crowd control enemies, which I had before. And this one is no witnesses. When I use my shadow clone, I deal 10% increased damage. And in addition, my shadow clone deals like 130% damage with the skills, which I'll show in a second, as well as this perk. This for some maximum life and dexterity. And this one did I show this already? Damage to healthy enemies, damage to crowd control. And now I'm trying to go into this area here, which it has high requirements for intelligence, but I'll get another 14% core skill damage. This gives you core skill damage. And then I'll probably work my way up to more core skill damage over here as I level up. And I'm going to definitely get this glyph and see which one I'm going to put in there. Right now I've been leveling up my chip glyph, which is this one here. And once I get to level 15, it's going to get a bigger radius. Right now it's only at 12. But I've just been focusing on core skill damage, life, things like that. And that's the current Paragon board. I should have, expanded this so you guys could see it. Okay, so that's basically the Paragon, and then for the skill tree here, and I did this. I reworked it a little bit since my last video, but basically I have puncture as my basic skill. I maxed out twisting blades, maxed out siphoning strikes, so I don't have to use like life on kill. 3% of your maximum life. That's why I'm trying to get as much life as possible. So it's basically every critical strike I hit, it's usually with my basic skill or core skill, it pretty much jumps right back up to full health, even when I'm fighting elites or bosses. Close damage reduction, I'd like to max this out, but there's other skills I prefer. Max twisting blades, and then I have this one where cooldowns are reduced, which is key for my using my ultimate skill more often, as well as dash and evade. Max dash for the cooldown reduction, and then dash slows enemies it hits by 30% or dazes them if they're already slowed. Your evade cooldown is reduced by 1 second when you daze an enemy, and this is enough for me. I mean, I daze enemies like crazy, so I could evade as much as possible, or as much as I want. And then when I critical strike a dazed enemy, they're knocked down, which is a nice little bonus. Plus I have long crowd control duration, so that increases the daze or the slow. Dark crowd, just one in each, just for the mostly for the movement speed, but also the damage reduction helps. Exploit for more damage, healthy and injured, and then vulnerable for with malice. Then I max shadow imbuement for the crazy explosion damage when I dash through enemies. And this helps as well, the increased critical strike chance against injured enemies. So with all the other stats I mentioned before, I have probably 70-something% to critical strike chance for injured enemies. And then blended shadow imbuement. Shadow damage has up to a 10% chance to stun for 1.5 seconds, and that's actually even longer with the crowd control duration bonuses I have. And this is very energy intensive, so killing enemies generate 30 energy. Basically every enemy I could use one more that's killed. I could use one more twisting blades, because I think it's 24%, 26% energy cost. All right. Imbued skills. Oh, another critical strike chance. So maybe I have 80% chance to injured enemies when I'm using shadow imbuement. Shadow clone, prime shadow clone. And then shadow clone deals 20% damage. This one I have for just extra lucky hit. Same thing with my shadow damage, has an extra lucky hit chance, and 10% chance to gain energy on a lucky hit. Now I might max that too eventually, but I don't know what I'm going to take off, because I kind of like the current build as it is. And then finally I use close quarters, which Gives me attack speed, more damage to crowd control enemies, and it gives me that extra dodge on here, where it increases by 8% every time you're hit. So every like 3 or 4 hits, I basically have guaranteed dodge, or 50% or 60% chance to dodge, which is helpful for sure. All right, so I went through everything here: stats, gear, skills, Paragon, and then I'll just do a quick dungeon here. As I mentioned, I've been focusing on like 40s because they're the quickest. I can do like 50s, 60s, but I'm going to go ahead and do this dungeon. I'll be right back. All right, so here we're in the dungeon here, and I'm just gonna pop here Dark Shroud and Shadow Imbuement. And now that dash is imbued, you can see it's purple. Usually find a group of enemies, go through them, and I could evade a few times, and that basically stuns them. And I have pretty significant damage to stunned enemies, crowd controlled enemies, and this all really works well. And the reason that I use now the combo points instead of the preparation or even inner sight is the damage helps, but the movement speed that allows me to like speed through dungeons, especially like when you get to shrines, like for example, just all of a sudden, that's not, I thought it was a conduit shrine, but you could speed through it, kill everyone like quickly. And make your way to like artillery shrines or the conduit shrines to make the runs even quicker. Now it can slow you down a little bit if you do like the events, like if you pop a chest and then something. Oh, this one's not a trap, but usually there's like an event that pops up. But I usually do them anyway. But without them, I probably could do the dungeons in probably 5 minutes or so. And the fact that I have the lucky hit, it transfers. When you hit with crowd control enemy, there's a 40% chance for that to spread to another unaffected enemy. And that's amazing because this build is focused on dazes and stuns and other crowd control. That even if you don't necessarily stun or daze an enemy, it could still transfer to the nearby enemy. Not really that effective against bosses, but when you're fighting like packs and packs of these guys, it's definitely worth it. And it's cool how the twisted blades, you can kind of evade through, and twisted blades will follow you and kill enemies in that path as well.
I'm not ready
Sorry, what do I got? One more. Priest. What is this one? Oh, there it is, the Conduit Shrine. I don't know how I feel about these things. I mean, it allows you to speed through dungeons, which is cool. I don't know, it kind of throws you out of the whole like darkness of the Diablo theme. You kind of just cruise through, and this is really more like Diablo 3-esque. I mean, it feels great to like kill enemies, but it's just like, I don't know. Shrines, I don't know if it should be. I like the older shrines where there's like a little bit of bonus, like XP boost or something like that, rather than destroy every enemy in the thing. But I mean, I guess it fits in this game. And I always forget to kill like the purple glowing guys that like reduce damage of all the enemies around them, which is something I remember. Oh, okay. So there's the dungeon. That was actually much quicker than I thought. Oh, and I get a Mother's Embrace Ancestral Unique Ring. I have to see if this is better than my my current. If a core skill hits 5 or more enemies. Maybe I'll fool around with that, but then I lose my critical strike chance. Oh, well, that was nice to get. And I'm just going to upgrade my chip. Alright, so that's basically the build. I'm trying to get some more life, trying to get more attack power. And we'll see if I make another build video. I'm going to keep trying. Leveling has slowed a bit for me. I mean, people are already at 100, but we'll see how far I get on this character. But again, if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. I'll continue reworking my skills. As I mentioned, I want to get my Paragon to this glyph as well as this core skill damage. And maybe even over here to more damage, another 10%. But we will see. So thanks for watching, and I'm going to end the video here.